in the networking world, at the point that your customer is at the happiest, ask them to recommend 3 people.
I think that's a little golden nugget there, because I think that's even outside of networking. I think that's even in referral base. Wait until they're at their point of happiest and then go, who else needs this?
So your client could introduce you to potential referral partners.
That is genius. I feel like I'm going to be pausing every few minutes of going another golden nugget there, because that is, again, so to recap that, it's asking your client who their suppliers are, because those suppliers are most likely going to be really good referral partners for you. That's a very, very clever way of looking at it. And it's also a lot less dangerous for a client to refer their supplier than it is a client referring a client, where they hold a really strong relationship, and if anything goes wrong, it's on them, type of thing. So that is a very, very, very smart way of getting referral partners, and much quicker and much safer. I love that. So as a kind of intro, as an intro to today's session, Jamie, I would love to, on the first time we spoke, and I learned about your background. I was fascinated to learn the level of experience that you've got in networking, right? Because I have none. So I've been so excited, I'm genuinely so excited about talking to you today, because I was like, I've got so many things to try and find out about, because it's it's just, do you know what? I'm remembering now. Yeah, so I've been to 2 online events, and I've been to 1 in person. And the 1 in person, they were doing free beer and pizza. It was for developers in Brighton. I got totally shit-faced. I had like 8 pints in like 2.5 hours watching this presentation with one of my mates. I was so drunk, I could barely walk home. It was just like, so that's my version of networking. So I'm sure that that's not the profitable way of doing it.
What a way to start, though.
Yeah, what a way to start. Exactly. Well, if you start right at the bottom, everything's better from there. And I remember the next day going, I don't even know what it was about. Like, there was those like workshops. I genuinely had no idea what it was about. But I do remember it was great pizza. It was Pizza Face, like one of my favorite pizzas, and it was great beer. So I was like, that was my event.
I would be happy. It's got all the right ingredients, hasn't it?
What else do you need? So Jamie, why don't we backdate a bit and tell me a bit about your background, and then we can lead on to how that came into network marketing, or networking, I should say, not network marketing.
Okay, so I spent 7 years running a large network marketing business, and I knew nothing about it before I got involved in it. The company I worked for bought Clean Easy out of administration, and I was 33 at the time, and it had 15,000 self-employed sales reps and 400 employees. And at 33 years old, they went, "Come on, you're going to relocate this Bristol from Bristol up to Lancashire and take care of it." 5 people relocated out of 400 employees, and we started from scratch.
Wow, that's quite a drop off.
And
if you had a recruitment company at the time, they would have gone, "Oh yes, let's begin."
But it was good. It was good in one way, in that we started with a blank canvas, so we had a handful of people that knew how things worked. But it was a learning curve, and it was a whole learning thing about networking. In hindsight, I can look back and see that I've always been a natural networker. So I've always got to know people. I've always been curious about people, and I've always, in the employment world, we do our job and we speak to some of the people around us, and we work in silos. I worked for a manufacturing company when I first started, and whilst I was in the office, I used to go on the shop floor, and I could just get things done. So I had relationships with the right people, and for one of the things, we made these big seals, like over a meter in diameter. And there was only one press in the factory that could do stuff like that. And we had enough orders for 53 weeks ahead.
Wow.
So if you wanted to place an order now, I could do it. What are we on now? The beginning of March. So we're on the 6th of March now. I could do it on the 20th of March next year. But if your machine's broken down, you want it fixed now, not in a year's time. So I would go down and I could sweet talk the right people, maybe get
Okay.
them to do an extra shift, do some overtime. We'd charge a premium. We'd get it done within a few days.
Okay, makes a big impact.
Yeah. So, but rather than just going, computer says no.
Yeah.
So I knew the right people. So I've always done that. And, in the old fashioned world, that was in the late 90s. God, that was in the late 90s, just as computers were sort of coming in before the internet, really. We
Mm.
used to send faxes and stuff like that.
Right. For the younger listener, we go, what's a fax machine?
So basically, it was a way to connect with somebody else's printer where you would feed in your piece of paper and it would scan it and then it would print out at the other end.
A lot of people would go, what the fuck's a printer?
That's true.
How many people buy printers now?
That's true. So that's how I got involved in networking and building a network of the right people. So that basically, when you're up the creek without a paddle, what do? You ask the right people. So most people wait until they're up shit creek before they go, oh, I don't know the right people to help. So I always say to people, dig your well before you're thirsty. Don't wait until you're desperate for a job. Start, like if in the world of automation, I need to get to know you now. I might not need your services now, but when I do, I want to have a good relationship with you so that you don't go, who's Jamie? You go,
Yeah.
Jamie, yeah, I can't wait to have you as a client. So I encourage people to start building the right network now. Then that was in manufacturing. I did a variety of different things. I worked for a telecoms business in the early days of deregulation. God, I feel like I'm really old now.
That is dinosaur level age.
At one point, yeah. At one
Again,
point,
a lot of people won't even know that it didn't.
a landline. Yeah,
You mean
God.
Wi-Fi, right? It's a Wi-Fi phone.
Oh God, I feel so old. So I worked for this telecoms company anyway, and we built a £10 million a year sales channel from recommend a friend.
Wow.
So we would get our customers to recommend their friends. We would get in touch with them. Then they would join our business. A £10 million a year sales channel. Within 12 months, we built that.
Wow. That's quite a record. That is great. It's interesting you mention that, actually, because I'm just remembering now when I got Virgin installed here, the engineer was trying to get me to refer someone, and he told me he was KPI'd on it. Isn't that amazing? An engineer. An at no point when you're doing your engineering training would you think, I'm going to be a sales rep.
They're the only ones that speak to the customer.
Yeah.
And you imagine that. Oh my God, I've gone from dial-up to super fast fiber. You're the best thing ever.
Yeah.
Oh, do you want to recommend a friend? That's the point. So in the networking world, at the point that your customer is at the happiest, ask them to recommend 3 people.
I think that's a little golden nugget there, because I think that's even outside of networking. I think that's even in referral base. Wait until they're at their point of happiest and then go, who else needs this? Someone actually gave me a tip about this before. Instead of going, do you know anyone who might need this service? Go, who do you know that needs this service? So
Well, I say, who are the 3 people that you can introduce me to?
Nice. Yeah, nice. Not even one.
Yeah,
3.
not even one, so 3. And then you start thinking, and then I guide people. So this is what I've learned over the years. If I'm speaking to you, and this is networking, this is business networking, we're part of each other's network. And I'm speaking to you and I go, oh, Alastair, I'd like an introduction to anyone that needs to go networking. No one probably springs to mind.
Not off the top of my head.
If I said to you, and this is what I do, so I only network with nice people. And so the not nice ones, the people who are hard work to deal with, that always complain, that maybe don't have much money, that always pay late, and they can go and network somewhere else. They're not my kind of people. So nice people, who are the people that you know that run their own business? They run their own business. They're really good at what they do and they're ambitious. They probably invest in some personal development. They might listen to podcasts like this or audiobooks. They go on training courses. They're people. They're family people. I joke more often than not, they're dog lovers like me, and they're keen to grow. they're the people that I want to meet.
Mm. Yeah, now I know who exactly I would say, yeah.
So if you've got that, we've got to paint a picture with words, and that's like in the world of LinkedIn, like a Boolean search, isn't it? So I want
Mm.
this and this and this, and it goes from, if you've got 10,000 connections, it narrows down your 10,000 connections down and down and down, and then we go, oh, do you know what? I'd never really thought about that person, but now that you mention it,
Mm.
I could introduce you to them.
I love the way that you've painted this picture, because I think that that relates to any business owner or anyone who's providing a service. You go, well, definitely don't want to work with a certain person, and I definitely want to work with this type of person. I think it's such a clever way of filtering your referrals, because yeah, I think that that is mega smart stuff. That is a little piece of gold there. Yeah, I love that.
The other thing as well is, I think, um, and this is business networking. It's building a network, and I think a lot of people associate networking with just going networking.
Mm.
That's part of the activity, but we all have networks. We've got a social media network. We've got, if you've got kids, you'll know the parents. You've got friends, family, colleagues, people that you've met through business, people that you've done proposals for that never turned into clients. So we've all got these networks. And I say to people, look, if your ideal client is someone that needs help with automation, who are the people that deal with that person before you? Who do they deal with whilst they're working with you? And then who do they deal with afterwards?
Mm.
They're the people who all deal with your kind of client, either before, during, or after you work with them.
Mm.
If you build a relationship with those people, then you get, so for example, you're probably going to need some copy at some point with the people that you work with. You're going to need some pictures. So there's certain things, they might have video content. All of those people. So if I'm a brand photographer, that, well, I could bring you up in conversation and go, well, what are you going to do with these pictures? Well, I was thinking about putting them on my website and maybe doing some social media. And I'm like, so you're going to generate leads? Do you want automated responses for these people? Would you like to do it so that it just happens automatically? Yes, yes, yes. Okay, let me introduce you to Alastair.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, nice.
And that is building your network. Now, go in networking, that's where you go to meet people and start the relationship building process.
Mm.
Now, you joked with me that you haven't really done a great deal of networking as such, as in going
Yeah.
to networking events, but
Except from getting pissed and having pizza. Yeah, yeah.
you've got a network though, haven't you?
I do. Yes.
So, but how well do you know them? We collect connections, but they're just connections. They're not people that we know.
Mm.
So I would imagine that there's some people that you could start to filter from your existing connections that are dealing with your kind of people, and it might even be that you speak to one of your clients and you go, who are the other suppliers that you work with? Because if they're a good client for you and they're probably the right kind of personality for you, they're probably choosing people that are a good fit for you, but don't do what you do.
Mm.
So then they're the people that, so your client could introduce you to potential referral partners.
That is genius. I feel like I'm going to be pausing every few minutes of going another golden nugget there, because that is, again, so to recap that, it's asking your client who their suppliers are, because those suppliers are most likely going to be really good referral partners for you. That's a very, very clever way of looking at it. And it's also a lot less dangerous for a client to refer their supplier than it is a client referring a client, where they hold a really strong relationship, and if anything goes wrong, it's on them, type of thing. So
Yeah.
that is a very, very, very smart way of getting referral partners, and much quicker and much safer. I love that.
Well, so that's the start of it then. So that's easy for them to do, isn't it? There's no risk to me. I'm just going to introduce it. You're not even selling to them, so it's low risk. Why
Yeah.
wouldn't they want to do it? But think about this then. So when you're speaking to, say, if you and I were potential referral partners, do you want to speak to my worst connections?
No.
You want to speak to my best clients. Everybody wants to meet everybody else's best clients.
Yeah.
And yet, this is what I think happens when people go networking. So you and I are at a networking event, in person or online, and you say, right, I'm looking for an introduction to people that run a networking group. And because I know that I can help them improve their automations and make their life easier and make more money and blah, blah, blah. Someone then might go, well, Jamie's a client of mine and he fits that criteria, but I'm not sure about introducing Alastair to him. What I'll do is I'll listen out this week for anyone who runs a networking event who says, I would like to improve my automations.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll even write that down. Alastair said, wants to speak to blah, blah, blah. And then I'll listen and I have the best of intentions. I like you. We've got good rapport. I'm definitely going to listen out for that this week. But nobody says that over the next week. So you don't get any introductions. Where in reality, what you want people to do is to go, who do I already know? Who do I already know that I could introduce Alastair to? And if you start to find, going back to that thing about referral partners, if you find people who deal with the same ideal client as you, we're not asking them to do any extra work. All we want them to do is, as they're going through their normal day, speaking to their prospects, speaking to their existing clients, that they bring us up in conversation at some point.
Nice.
No extra work. They're already speaking to, I mean, you must have loads of calls booked with people, meetings booked with people over the
If
next
I showed
week.
you my calendar, you would probably faint. Yeah, definitely.
Right. And then, so like, in the olden days where you were wrapping up a meeting and you'd get your notebook and you put your pen down and you shut it up. And like, that's the point that everyone relaxes that, oh, the business is done. I can relax now. He's not going to sell me anything else. Then you go, oh, before I go, I don't suppose you've got this problem. Oh, now that you mention that, Alastair, I do. Why? Oh, it keeps me awake at night. It stresses me out. I know someone that could help you with that. Would you like to meet them? Yeah. And if we're really good, I've given you my meeting booking link, so you can either book me straight in or give it to them so that they can book a meeting with me. And then you ring someone and say, right, I've just booked this meeting in your diary. You're going to be meeting Bill a week on Thursday. Here's a little bit about him. I've told him what you do. I've told him what you charge. You pretty much just need to close the deal. And I did that with a guy the other week. I was speaking to one of my clients who runs a construction firm, and he's rubbish is not quite as strong as I would like to say at social media. I don't know. I didn't ask how strong the swearing is on this, but he's not very good at social media. He's busy. He's busy on site. So I said, I know this guy specializes in helping people in construction, builders, tradespeople. He'll manage your social media for you. This is how much he charges. This is what he'll do. That sounds perfect. I set up the introduction. All he had to do was sign him up. And he's over the moon. No work involved in that. I did the selling, and basically I just told him that he needed to sign up for this because it fixed a problem that he had.
Now, I think that's amazing, and I absolutely love that. And you were absolutely right. It's fascinating for me to hear this explanation, because there's so much sales psychology at every single level, right? And I love sales psychology, so I love the fact you've gone in detail around going, just as you're kind of closing your book and you finish, you're right. That is the point everyone's relaxed. Go, oh, by the way, have you ever had this problem? That is absolutely perfect time to bring up a referral opportunity if you can see one. So in terms of just going back half a step, so you've got someone who you've built a relationship with, and you're now kind of mutual referral partners for each other. Is that done on goodwill? Do you ever offer people commissions as well?
I don't. So let's say, for argument's sake, that I offered you a nominal percentage or a fee. Every person you introduce to me, I'll give you 50 quid. What's £50 in relation to the value of a client for you?
Fuck all.
Exactly. So the 50 quid means nothing. Even if I offered you 10%, it's going to be pounds, not thousands. So the real value is in me paying you back with a client. That's what we really want. Now, if I introduced you to somebody and I get something back from it, let's say it was a financial advisor, because it's quite common in financial services. I think it stops people doing referrals when there's money in it for them.
Because there's a conflict of interest.
Not even that.
Ah,
It's just, I don't like asking for business for myself, for most people.
yeah, okay.
I'm my own worst salesperson. Like, you could be a great client. I'm not actually going to ask you for the business. I'm not it's like sales prevention, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because then the only reason I'm introducing you is because there's something in it for me. And I'm
Yeah.
terrible at doing it with my own business. I just want to run my business. I don't want to be a salesperson. So it stops people. And I experienced that 15 years ago. I was working with somebody and they went, "Oh, do you know, you're recommending loads of people to me. Why don't you sign up as an introducer and we can pay you a percentage of the sale?" Literally, I stopped at the point that I signed it.
Wow, really interesting.
Like, and it took me a few years to then go on and get into networking to realize that I stopped because I was getting paid for it.
Interesting. And do you think that that's quite generic for most people as a psychology pattern?
I think if you can get people helping you because they want to help you,
Yeah.
that is a much more powerful driver than because they're being paid to do it.
Mm, okay, nice. Because I think that that's important, an important learning there, because it could be easy to get that wrong. And so you go around going, well, if I make the commission attractive enough, I'll get lots of people referring me business. But actually, in fact, you might find that you get nobody referring you business. And as long as you actually just demonstrate you're a decent human and you do a good job, you get loads of people referring you business. I was speaking to someone the other day and they said that to them, their interpretation of what is a salesperson is just being a decent person. Simple as that. Just be decent. That's all you need. That was their version of it. There's more to it than that, but you know, the essence of it is true. You know, is true, and I think that that's what I'm hearing when it comes to networking. Is the same thing, right? It's not so much about the money. It's just be decent and be decent to each other.
Yes. Yeah. I just see that in my world, I just help fix people's problems. And if I use you as the example, if someone's struggling with, I don't know, they're not very good at admin and they're slow to respond to stuff and that automation could replace some of that stuff, why would I not introduce them to you? You'll be grateful for the introduction and you're fixing a problem for the other person. So it makes me look good.
Mm,
I fix other people's problems without having to do anything.
yeah,
All I do is connect two people.
yeah.
Who do they remember that when that's fixed and they're happy? Oh, Jamie introduced me.
Mm.
Even though you do all the work.
Yeah, interesting. And do you find that you have to kind of chase people up? So for example, you've made 24 new more close relationships, and obviously maybe they forget who you are, or they forget about your connection, or they forget. Do you catch up with them, or try and catch up with them, even if it's an email, LinkedIn message?
So some people pass introductions willy-nilly and move on, never think about it again. When I'm passing the introduction, so I'll say to you, Alastair, I'm just going to introduce you to this person. Let me know how you get on.
Okay.
I'm going to be seeing them next week. And I don't want to walk into them being pissed off because you didn't turn up or you're quoted enough. So, like, I want to know how the meeting went. Or they might be I'm quite busy and I miss stuff sometimes. You know, I'm only human. And if my email inbox is a nightmare. So I miss some things sometimes. So I'll always say to people, give me a nudge. And I know those busy, and I'm usually introducing people to busy people who are a bit overwhelmed with stuff.
Yeah.
So I am quite happy. If I've made that introduction, it's okay for me to then go back and go, Bill, how did you get on with Alastair? Oh, I didn't actually reply to his email.
Yeah.
Would you mind doing that?
Yeah.
Equally, the people, you might get them and you're desperate for clients. And a lot of people go networking because they're looking for clients. Then they get some referrals and don't act on them.
Mm.
I don't want to appear too, so like ping, referral comes in. Oh, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Okay. Well, I want message back straight away because I don't want to seem too keen. I don't want to seem like I'm not busy. They might be busy. Then they leave it for the day. And then tomorrow's a new day. They're busy doing other stuff. And a week goes by and then it's too late.
Yeah.
Oh, but it was only a referral. It wasn't really a client. And then they just don't do anything. So I do follow up with some of them, not all of them, with some of them, just to see how it went. Because sometimes, and I'm the one with the strong relationship,
Yeah.
I'm only introducing you to people that I know, so I can ring Bill and say, Bill, what the hell's going on? Why haven't you replied to Alastair?
Yeah.
Get that meeting booked in.
And the incentive for you to do that is so that you look like the champion to your client. Yeah.
They're gonna want to hang around with me longer because I fix their problems. As well as doing a good job for them, I'm a problem fixer. I'm the one. Like, I'm a big fan of this book, Key Person of Influence. You know,
Yeah.
it's always on. I want to be that person. You know, like, who's the most connected person that you know? Well, you want to have a good relationship with them so that when you need something, you keep coming back. So people naturally come to me now and say, I need someone that can help me with this. Who do you know?
I'm going to pause there. I'm going to pause there because I think that that's a really, really important point, which even me acutely listening to you nearly missed. And the point being that your incentive, so the person listening to this thinking about going networking, the incentive for you to refer lots of people is that you become the person of influence to your clients and also the champion to your clients. So it directly benefits you. I said this in a different podcast. How much is it directly benefiting you? Because in general, we're all me, right? So it's like it directly benefits you to be the champion for your client by connecting them to the right people. So not to look at it as necessarily a favor to the person you're referring business to. It's a favor to yourself because you're now the champion to your client. And I think that that's really, really important to digest. Certainly is for me listening to that going, okay, yes, I understand that. I'm now the champion for someone. And so it makes sense. So the relationship I'm holding with my client is even stronger. And there's an incentive for me to chase and make sure that the connection is working in the right way. That's super important. I love that. Another golden nugget.
We know in theory, we know our clients well, don't we? As
Yeah.
we work, it depends on what it is that you do, but you usually get to know your clients quite well while you're working with them. If we do a good job with what we're doing, we want it to carry on for as long as possible. So if we maintain that, and I know a lot of people that they'll do some work for a client and then they don't really speak to them that often. It's like, I'm doing a good job, but I want to speak to you if you're my client. I want to find out what's keeping you awake at night. You answer that question, that's going to generate introductions for other people in my network. It's not about me. It's just me helping you and helping other people.
And then you actually become more valuable. You're a valuable connection. You're a valuable supplier to your client. That's really, really, really interesting. And so, how does that journey look from? So, I understand there's different ways of meeting new connections. It could be online, so you could whittle down. You make an introduction. It could be in person, and it's. I remember when we first spoke, you gave me some really golden information, which I'd want to bring back, which was the difference in your attitude when making new connections and how that reflects in what you say. So the example you gave me was most people when they go to a networking event and they introduce, they go, "What do you do?" It's not what you do. So I'd love to just touch on that because I think that was a really, and actually I said it to my friend last week who was talking about this networking thing. And I said, well, the first bit of advice I can give you is, and I gave them the bit of advice you were just about to tell me.
Okay. Yeah. So you're right. I think most of us wake up in the morning and step into work mode. And particularly if we're going out to see people, I will be Jamie from Circle Networks. So I run a networking membership and I coach people on networking. That is not how I introduce myself. I always use, apologies to any accountants, but I always use accountants in this example. So if you run a business, but if you run a business and I come up to you and I say, "Hi, I'm Jamie, I'm an accountant," in your head you go, "Ugh, another accountant." Another accountant. I've already got one. I don't need another one.
It's completely true. I can see why you apologize to accountants, but you're absolutely right.
But it's true. Like, I've got one. I don't need it. Yeah. So imagine that, and you replace that with your job title, your business. So it's just a habit. Hi, I'm Jamie. I'm from Circle Networks. I do networking. And then people go, "Well, I already know people that do networking. I don't need another one."
Yeah.
So whatever it is, and people just pigeonhole us. They want to put us in a little box and then move on. And really what they're waiting to do is to introduce themselves.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's nice. Anyway, let me tell you about me. But we're slightly different. So we help people build relationships and get to know the person first. So if I say to you, "Hi, how are you doing? I'm Jamie. I'm a dad. I've got 3 kids. I I would say let's get to know each other first. So before we get down to business, let's just find out a bit about each other and see what we've got in common. So I'm a dad. I've got 3 kids. I'm divorced. I'm newly engaged. I've got a 13-year-old, a 19-year-old, and a 21-year-old. I've got a dog, and when I'm not working, I love to be out walking the dog. I'm a retired scuba diver, so I used to do a lot of wreck diving, and then I hung up my suit once I started having kids because I didn't think it was the safest thing to do. I like gin, beer, and a good curry.
Nice.
From that, someone can usually find something that they've got in common with me. Or not.
Mm.
The not part is fine because I think at a lot of networking events, you just hear name, job title, business, what someone's looking for.
Yeah.
And then you've got to book a meeting with somebody. And if that's online, it's usually an hour. If it's in person, you add another half an hour each way for travel, it's 2 hours. And then you've got to meet someone and to find that you don't like them. You don't know that at most networking events because all you hear is them in presenter mode. Hi, I'm Jamie. I'm from Circle Networks.
Yeah.
So we help people get to know people, and I say we're filtering. And if you don't like me, don't book a meeting with me because we'll save each other some time. So I save people time with our networking.
Mm.
And ultimately, I'll bring you closer to the right people and away from the wrong ones. Not that there's anything wrong with them, but they're just not the right people for you.
You got to have the right resonance. Yeah. It's interesting. I was actually turning away a client this week. And the reason why is because I can recognize that the resonance wasn't correct. I was like, it's just not the right fit.
Yeah.
And if it's not the right fit, you're either going to have a really shit time working together or it's going to be very short lived and it's going to be more work than it's worth.
And it's only with hindsight when you've been running your business that you can recognize that.
Yeah.
And I've helped a number of people move towards the right kind of clients and be able to spot the wrong fit. And we've all had them at some point in our careers. They're hard work, they're demanding, they never pay on time. Whatever we do is never good enough. And then when they want something, it's always urgent.
You couldn't have put it better. Honestly, that little paragraph is exactly what a bad, in inverted commas, client is. It's all of those traits of character.
It is. And I used to have loads of them. And it caused me so much stress at the end of the month because they would never pay their bills on time. And that's the point that all your direct debits come out. And it's just like, God, I hate month end. That's why I wanted to build a membership with a recurring revenue stream so that it just happened automatically. I think certainly for Brits, we hate asking people for money. Now, you help people with that because you're in the world of automation.
Yeah.
But it's like, I've done the work, then I send an invoice, then I don't call them, then I don't send them a reminder, and then I'm like, oh my God, I wish they would just pay me. And they're sending like brainwaves out, hoping that they get paid. It's a nightmare. So whereas if you just recruit the right clients, and in order to do that, I teach you what a good fit is for me, and you might. So I say to people, look, you might get less leads with referrals. Think about how much time you waste on the wrong leads.
Yeah. Nice.
If you just got qualified people, so if I'm introducing you to somebody who I know is a good personality fit, I've checked that they've got the budget to work with you, the money's there, they've definitely got the problem, and I've explained how you solve it and probably given some client examples. All they need to do is meet you at that point.
Yeah.
I've done the whole sales thing. And if I'm good at what I do and I know them well enough, I'll go, you just need to bloody work with Alastair. Stop procrastinating and just sign up with him.
Yeah. Because a lot of it is procrastination. Yeah. It's really interesting because I think that relates back to something you said earlier, which was, who do you know that's, or when we were talking about like everyone wants to be introduced to your best clients. Right. So your best clients being the ones who pay on time, the ones that are easy to work with, the ones that have got budget, the ones, all those characteristics. And actually, you don't want to be referred to the bad clients, right? The ones that are going to be really difficult. And actually, as a result of doing really, really good networking, you would get referrals with people who are easy to work with, that know pay on time. And I think that, and it's funny because I think that relates to basically every business model. I remember speaking to a guy who was a builder when we moved house. We had this builder, and he said that he would only work with referred business. He would never take on, because the amount of horror stories that he as a builder had experienced with clients who complain, ask. It's like, well, it's a classic thing, isn't it? You go, well, can you just plaster that wall? Go, well, whilst you're here, I have no intention of paying for this extra work, but can you also, build the staircase if you've got half an hour?
And people do that with us as well, though. Oh, so whilst you're logged in, could you just do this? It'll only take you a minute. Yeah, it's took me 15 years to work out how to do that.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So it means that the quality of client is they're kind of being pre-screened. So if you were to only get your business via networking through this process, then essentially what you would end up with is the best of everybody's clients, which are the people who are easy to work with. That which I think is fascinating.
Imagine when your phone rings and you look at your phone. There's two ways that it goes. Oh my God, Alastair's ringing me. Hi, Alastair, how are you doing?
Yeah.
Compare it to, oh God, the client that we don't want.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Jamie. Oh, I really don't want to take this call. Hi, how are you doing? And you just know it's going to be like more work.
Yeah. It's funny, isn't it? It's funny because, I don't think that it's anything to do with resonance. I think that that's just, some people are just really difficult to work with, regardless of who they're working with. And the person that they end up being able to work with is the person that's really, really, really patient. Right? For whatever reason, they're just super patient. They don't mind that they don't respond to any emails and then immediately need everything on the day. That type of thing. But it doesn't make it a joyful experience. I think it's taken me years to kind of get to that space of going, well, if I'm going to run my own business and have all the stress of running a business and I only really want to work with people I enjoy working with. Otherwise, what's the point in running a business? I may as well be employed and not have the stress of running a business and be told what to do and told who to work with, regardless if I want to or not.
In a job, we can't go, sorry, you're not a good fit. We're not taking you on as a client.
Exactly. Yeah. Sorry, your revenue's not worth it.
I'm sorry, I just don't like your face. It doesn't fit. You can't do that. You can't do that.
But you can say I don't like your face when you run your own business. Yes. I just don't like your face, mate. Like, let's be clear. I want to be transparent.
Oh, imagine that. Imagine that.
Kind of want to have that conversation just for the humour of it. Just don't like your face.
I might try and work that into a conversation at some point.
Yeah.
Only joking.
Yeah.
So, but you're talking about people who are good at what they do.
Yeah.
So the people that listen to this, just ask yourself, are you good at what you do? I would hope that you're nodding your head now. Are you good at lead generation? That's
people will be going like that.
And none of us start out to become salespeople. We don't think, do you know what? I'm going to quit this nice job that pays all my bills and stuff. I don't like my boss, so I'm going to start my own business to be a salesperson. But that's what we have to be. There is no business unless we do sales.
Yeah.
So we've got to be brilliant salespeople for ourselves. And in order to be good salespeople, you need to generate leads and interest. And so we're creating demand for our services. Networking and building a good network is a free way to do it. That you just get highly qualified. And if you and I were referral partners and you speak to 5 of your clients every week, and I speak to 6 of mine, and probably if we were really good, we'd have a meeting and I go, right, this week, Alastair, here's who I'm going to be speaking to. Which one of these do you want me to bring you up in conversation with? How many times do we speak to people that go, oh, you've just reminded me, I spoke to someone last week. They'd be a great fit for you. It's a week late, isn't it?
Yeah.
So if we were more proactive, and I think there's a difference. We want people to be proactive with us and create opportunities rather than just reacting to what people say. Now, we'll still take those introductions. Somebody says, I need help with my automations. Oh, you should speak to Alastair. So that's me reacting. But if I'm speaking to somebody and like you just, you maybe give us an example of someone that you work with. So let's say it's a builder and they run a big construction firm and they're busy on site all day long. They want someone to reply automatically just to go, we've got your inquiry, we're just on site right now. That's the easy level of automation, isn't it? Just to acknowledge something.
Yeah.
Then they can generate loads of leads all day knowing that there's that response until I get home at night that I can ring them back.
Yeah.
But what most people do, they work on client stuff all day, work on site, whatever that might be. And then at night time, they go, oh, I've not done anything on lead generation today.
Yeah.
So we need to be consistent in our lead generation. Now, if you've got other people that bring you up in conversation, so let's say I am that construction person, builder, doing extensions. Whilst I'm speaking to the customer, if all I do is build the house and I don't paint, well, as soon as I've finished building, they're going to need a painter.
Yeah.
They're probably going to want new blinds or curtains.
Yeah.
There might be that a joiner comes in and builds some cabinets or lays a new floor or somebody to lay carpets, or they might need somebody to supply and fit some fancy lights. My job is, so, when we finish this extension, that's the West Wing, have you thought about what you're going to do yet? No, not yet. I just want to get it built. Oh, so I know this person, this person, this person. Would you like me to introduce you? And then if they do the same for you, you don't need to worry about lead generation because it just happens automatically.
Nice. I really like that. I think something that I wanted to kind of go back to was part of the reason why people don't reply. So you set up this kind of email, you say, here's an introduction. And I think some of that hesitancy can stem from that there hasn't been the right level of transparency and authenticity in what you deliver. Because I think that will play a part of it. For you to be a trusted supplier that someone is willing to refer business to, you need to be super transparent authentically around what it is you're really good at, and also be really transparent about, actually, that's not something I deal with. So if you're introducing a joiner, well, maybe they're really crap at XYZ, kitchens, for example. Go, I can do furniture stuff, but kitchen stuff is just not my bag, right? And I think that will relate to any type of business, right? You'll have certain niches that you're really good at. And I think often that, because I've noticed that in my professional development, is going, kind of wanting business. I'll go, yeah, I can do that. And then having to kind of catch up my skill set to facilitate it. But actually, I think if I was really honest with myself, I'd go, actually, it's probably better me to turn away that business. I'm not there yet, or it's not something I really specialize in. So I think there can be a self-reflection piece for people doing networking to make sure they're really honest with themselves, and then they bring the right version of themselves to the conversation.
Yes. And for the stuff that you can't do, find out who can do it and pass the work on to them.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time. So I always thought everybody was competition. So as an example, when I was running Clean Easy, they were founding members of the Direct Selling Association in the late 60s, early 70s. And the guy who was the chairman of the Direct Selling Association used to be the managing director of Clean Easy. So he was like, let me bring you into our world, Jamie. And like fatherly advice kind of thing. And I just saw the other people, Avon, Forever Living Products, Herbalife, all of those people, I just saw them as competition. I was like, why do I want to get involved with them to be around my competition? So for 2 years, I used to send my apologies because I had a place on the board. And I was busy relocating the business. We were growing the business, blah, blah, blah. I ran out of excuses. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to have to go. So I went along, and it was all the managing directors, CEOs of these other businesses who did something similar to what I did, but with a completely different ideal client.
Right. Interesting.
And then what I found was, and this was the advice that I got. So the other business leaders will tell you what they did yesterday. They might tell you what they're doing today, but they probably won't tell you what they're going to do tomorrow.
Okay, interesting.
And what I found was, because I was part of a bigger FTSE 250, when sales were down, I could ring the MD of another business and go, how's things for you right now? Oh, it's tough for you too. This makes me feel a little bit better. Because it's lonely at the top running a business.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Not that got me any leeway with the board.
Yeah, of
They were
course.
like, well, I don't care that business is tough. It's tough for everyone. You still need to grow.
Fix the numbers. It's your job.
Yeah. So, but knowing the right people. So usually people aren't competition. They're people that you could collaborate with.
Mm.
So let me if I've got a good collaboration example.
Yeah.
So tomorrow morning I run a monthly in-person networking event. So the vast majority of stuff we do is online, but in the town that I live in, I've got 2 stories here. So I passed a referral to a friend of mine. He's got the best Indian restaurant in the area, not just in the town, in the county, I think. It's like fine dining Indian food. It's very good reputation. He's very busy. And he wants another restaurant. So he wanted another restaurant for a couple of years. Been looking for locations, couldn't get one. I passed him an introduction to a Cuban restaurant, which is 50 yards from his Indian restaurant. And I knew that they were struggling. So the 2 people that had started it weren't restaurateurs. So they'd invested a load of money, done up the building, put a nice kitchen in. So this business was up and running. I set up a meeting for him. He took over the business, and all he had to do was pay the rent.
Wow, interesting.
They just wanted it off their hands. They own the building, so they're getting the rent covered.
Yeah.
And he's taking it over. So he picked up and ran with probably a business that's maybe doing £500,000 a year.
Wow.
So in that restaurant, I run a networking event on a Friday morning once a month. So 4 weeks ago, we were there, and me, a photographer, and a videographer were sat there, and we said, what if we run an event similar to this, where I took the pictures, and then the other guy said, and I do the videos? And we came up with this thing, and we called it, Gareth, quite creative, his business is the Creatologists.
Cool, nice.
And his mind just spins with stuff. So he said, we'll call it content-ing.
Okay.
So a mixture of content creation and networking. So I run the networking part. One at a time, people go off and have their picture taken and do a little bit of video. They loved it. So I said, let's make this a no-brainer. It's £97. So it's a whole morning. You come away with some professional pictures. You get 10 minutes in front of the video camera. So some people can knock out 3 videos or 4 videos. Others, it takes them 10 minutes to eloquently get their message across. But it created such a buzz. 45 people have signed up in the last few weeks.
Wow, mate. As soon as you were saying it, I was like, you got to franchise it, because that's a fucking great idea. You should franchise that, because you can only be in one location, right? So it's the perfect model for franchising.
Well, a bit like our networking events.
A little bit.
So it's a spin-off from our networking events. So
okay.
So we've now got 2 locations that we do this from, soon to be 3. And not want to rush things and get it wrong, because we've only run a couple of events so far, but refining the process. And the buzz from it was great. Loads of people, the word of mouth's kicking in from it, because there was nothing really like it.
I think it's a great idea.
But the principle of it is, go and meet some people that do something similar to you, but not the same.
Yeah.
And work out how you can put something together that's just a no-brainer that brings people into your world. And the benefit of this was, because there was 3 of us doing it, each of us brought a little piece to the party.
Yeah.
Bit of my audience, bit of Nikki's audience, bit of Gareth's audience, created 40-something people that have booked for it so far. It's been so easy. It's been good fun. We have a right laugh. There's no pressure on one particular person. It's a good fun.
Great idea. Absolutely great idea. So how could that translate for other people who are in very different industries?
Let's say in your world. So when you work with somebody, what else do they need?
They normally need ads, so Meta ads, Google ads. they'll often need web design
Yeah.
that actually being kind of graphically designed, because developers and designers, I've learned over the years, are very different things. uh, so they're probably normally the two main things, and potentially a content writer who's going to do all the content.
Okay, so let's say 4 of you came together. If you got it down
Yeah.
to 4 people, and you work out, right, if we were to run one campaign for somebody, so you need one advert, one set of copy, one set of automations, what would that cost?
Hmm.
And this isn't to get rich on, this is to bring in some new people into your world.
Yeah.
So to begin with, you make it a no-brainer price for people. This is just you could charge a fortune for it, but
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
making you need to create that noise and create that buzz. But there's 4 of you promoting it, and you all agree that, right, we'll create some content, we'll share it, we'll speak to people, we'll invite them in, might even have an advertising budget for it. And then you just create something new that no one else is doing. Rather than me have to go, oh, can you do your bit? And then, well, you're going to need a copywriter. Oh, God. Then I've got to go, and it just feels like hard work. I'm bored by the time I think about the copyright. I haven't even got to the ads person yet. But it just doesn't happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So bring everything together so that you just make it an up. What? So I've just got to sign up for one thing, and all of this is going to be taken care of. Yeah, that's it.
Let's do it. Fascinating, and interestingly, it's a style of networking, but it's networking with other suppliers that you can collaborate with. So it's a different it's another type of networking, which is slightly different, but then it gives you a much more. What's that saying? It says, "Many hands make light work." So basically, all of you working together makes a much better product, a much better service, and it's easier to get clients. So it makes sense to do it, whether that's your full-time business or just a side hustle. It's still your business, but it's a side hustle of your
Yeah.
business.
But it's a collaboration. It might even become a joint venture.
Yeah.
So it could become a thing in its own right. But
Yeah.
it's easy, it's fun. You're working with some other people, and just by bouncing off other people, you come up with stuff. The whole mastermind principle is 2 or 3 or more minds come together to create something that one person couldn't create on their own. And it doesn't cost anything because you're all helping each other out. And as long as you pick the right people and you'll pull your weight.
So I think what's really interesting there is, so for someone who's listening and thinking about doing networking, is that's another thing to have in mind. Go, okay, well, if I were to go to a networking event, then I think that my kind of take homes so far would be, well, firstly is I'm going to introduce myself as a human, not as a professional. I'm going to talk about me. And then I'm going to see, is there the right resonance? Do we get on? Do we like each other? Right, as you said. And then I think I would start to try to implement with the right people. Try to implement some of the things you said, like why don't we have a weekly call? Like, why don't we check in once a week and just see what kind of conversations we're having and are there any good fits? And then through that, I identify what are the best customers for me and for them, and then we can see if there's the right working relationship. The other thing that I would walk into the networking going, okay, I wonder who I can collaborate with here. Because actually, I need someone who can do X, and I need someone who can do X, and I need someone who can do X. And my client's always struggling to find that. And I've got maybe a couple of people I sometimes work with, but they're always busy, because that, even if you have suppliers, doesn't mean that they can actually supply, because it depends on, are they one-man bands or, and also it's different price points. That's the other thing I notice is that, one client is willing to pay $1,000 for a landing page. Another person's willing to pay 100 quid. So who facilitates this person and who facilitates this person? You need different suppliers for both. So I think that's a really important point, is networking doesn't have to just be around lead generation. It's, well, who are the right suppliers? And funnily enough, that then leads to better lead generation, because all of those suppliers then become your referral partners too.
Yes. So you've just summed up what I say. I say to people, right, when you go networking, you only go for one thing. So if I got, right, so this week I'm looking for this and this and this, I'm still trying to write down the first thing when you're rhyming off the 5th or 6th thing. And I can't write fast. And if it's in front of other people, I don't want to go, whoa, stop a minute. I'm still on the first thing. What was the first thing you said? So I just secretly give up, and I just don't even bother. And no one tells us, sorry, you waffled and you rhymed off loads of stuff, so I'm just not going to be able to help you this week. They just don't do anything. So when you go networking, only go with one thing in mind. Now, you might meet somebody that you have a conversation with, but so for example, you might go looking for referrals. And that's the thing. So you give an example of someone that you could help. Oh, I'm looking for referrals. Or the second thing you might go for is suppliers. I am overwhelmed with this and I need a VA, or my accountant's a bit boring, I need a new one, whatever it might be. So you might go looking for introduction to somebody that makes your life easier. They potentially could become referral sources, referral partners, or you're looking for people to collaborate with. Those are the three things: looking for a client, a supplier, or a referral partner.
Okay. And so your advice would be, so when you're going to networking, you haven't got all three in mind, you've got one motive and focus on that one motive for that particular. Okay. And that would just be determined based on what is currently applicable for you at that time. You might need business, you might be overwhelmed. It's whatever makes sense.
Yeah. So it's something that's going to make your life easier. So I'm a big fan of the book, The One Thing. And that's, what's the one thing this week that you need to do that will make your life easier? I'm paraphrasing. They're much more eloquent with it than me.
Did I?
If you fix one thing this week, what's going to have the biggest impact? So if you could find a referral partner, it might get you some instant results, but it's a long-term strategy there. And I think most people network for today. Oh God, I need a client, I'm going to go networking. Nobody goes networking to be a client.
Yeah.
You don't wake up in the morning going, oh, brilliant, I'm going networking today. Whose client am I going to be?
Yeah.
And then everyone goes networking to pitch, and then they get disappointed because no one's there to buy.
So I think I'm going to pause there just for a second, because I think that's a really important thing to digest as like a moment of clarity to go, okay, recognizing that everyone is going to the networking event for the same reason as you are, which is to pitch your services. And nobody is going with the intention to purchase something. So it's changing the mindset of going, who at the networking event can refer me business, not try and get business from the networking. I think that probably is a widely large misconception of how to do it. So I think that that's a real golden important thing to pick up on there. So yeah, that's great.
There's a book called The Ultimate Sales Machine, written by Chet Holmes.
So funny. I had a landing page called The Ultimate Sales Machine for automation. It's funny you should say that. Anyway, carry on. Sorry.
So he did some research. It's an older book, but maybe in the 90s, 2000s. He did some research that said at any moment in time, only 3% of people, I think it was 3%, are interested in buying your particular thing. So out of 100 people, three people might be interested in moving house. 3 people might need a builder. 3 people might need automation. So if you're going networking to pitch, you're looking for the 3%.
Right.
So every 97 people you speak to are not interested in buying your stuff. And when you point it out like that, you're like, oh, right, no wonder networking's not working for me. Yeah. But and he talks about educational-based marketing. So if you're just educating people at the point that they meet someone that needs your thing, they'll introduce you. At the point that they decide that they need it, they're aware of you. But if you're just going, so today I'm looking for people that want to buy my thing. Does anybody want to buy my thing? And it's a yes or no question. And if I'm only speaking to the room trying to sell them something, and I never say, who do you know that might be interested in this, which is a broader, mind-opening kind of question, most people just go, so this is what I'm selling. Does anybody here want to buy it? And the answer to that usually is no.
Yeah.
I'll give the exception. So at the event that I mentioned a month ago, where we came up with content in, and we run that in Cheshire. So if anyone's interested in that, it's in Cheshire at the moment. But there was another guy there who came for the first time who's in the print and copier world. So I introduced him to everybody. I said, hi, we've got Ches here today. He helps people with printers and copiers. He can either do them in the office or at home. And I went, actually, I'm talking about me. I've just broke my printer. So I'm just signing up for a 5-year lease with him. I didn't even know he was coming along. Like, he came along, he was introduced to me. I asked him, and then I introduced him to everyone else. And then Heather, that was there, went, I need one too. He got 2 sales, and I totted up the numbers. I think it was 10 grand's worth of business that he got.
Yeah. I think it's important to point out that is the rarity. I don't want to create false expectations here. Every networking event is 10 grand minimum.
but so like it does happen sometimes. So I'm not saying that you'll never get clients from going networking. And just so happened 2 of the 3% were in the room at that moment.
Mm,
But the best way to go networking is looking for introductions. Like, who do you
mm,
know? So it's an opening question. So if I say to you, do you want to buy my stuff? It's yes or no.
yeah.
If I say to you, who do you know who might be interested in this? This is what I do. This is the problem I fix. You're processing that going, actually, you're talking about me. But I also know
Mm.
other people. So it's a broader question that's not yes or no.
What I really liked about that sentence specifically was, who do you know has this problem? Because then it's literally pain solution, right? It's all challenge solution based. It's not anything to do about I provide X. It's like something we discussed before is the feature based sell doesn't work. What is the solutions that the features allow to happen? So the pain solution or the challenge solution works really well. Go, who do you know has this challenge? Probably everyone, or if you're in the right, you're talking to the right person, yeah, probably everyone, probably them too, and they just haven't thought about it because they're only thinking of features when someone talks about features. So I think that's a really, really important piece of information to be aware of. We go, don't talk about features like this is what I provide. It's what is the pain that sits behind it, or what's the solution that comes as a result of your product or service. So I think that's a really, really interesting point, and definitely something to pick up on, because I think again that's where people will make a lot of mistakes. It's that going with a pitch and the yes and no. And I wanted to point out on your this thing around education. This is something I've talked about a lot, which is, education is the best sales pitch. You don't actually need to sell. As soon as you educate people on what you do, they already know that you're an industry expert in what you do just by talking about the thing that you do, right? So how you do the thing you do is all you need. I've given this example before, but there's a garage here in Brighton, and really successful. He's opened up another one. But what sets him apart to any other mechanic I've ever come across ever is he will describe in great detail every single issue, why it's happened, how it's happened, and show you. So he'll go, you hear that ticking sound? Let me show you in the bonnet where that is. You see that? What it should be doing is extra. And the level of education, so the trust that's built is like, this guy is telling, I know that this guy's telling me the truth, right? Because for him to fluff all that would be basically impossible. So I think education, from my perspective, is a wonderful sales pitch, and actually just going with who's got this pain, who's got this challenge, and then educating how that could be changed. You don't need to pitch. They already know they need to work with you.
Right. So just on that, so we've been a one-car family for about 4 years. We both live in the middle of town. We both work from home. And then at the end of last year, things had changed. I'm starting to do more travel. So I bought another car. So I've got an Audi, second-hand Audi. And it's in the garage today for the first time. I got a text message and then an email and then a phone call that said and I was already on the website at this point. From the text, clicked on the thing. Right, we've done the inspection. All your service is done. That was included in your maintenance plan. We've realised that the tyres, so it's either red, amber, green. So it was green. 2 of the tyres were on red. Tick the box if you'd like to go ahead and authorise the work on them. Click here to pay. But underneath that, there was a video where they showed me the inspection. So they showed me the tyre tread inspection. And I was like, well, the trust is there. That's what you're saying.
Poetry in automation. I love that, because it's a combination of this real personal touch with something completely automated. Oh, music to my ears. I want to see it. Send me the link.
I'll send it. So it was slick. And I was like, how can I use this in my business now? So, like, could I do some kind of video audit?
Yeah.
Well, imagine this. I mean, it might come across like a roast. So, hi, Alastair. Hi, Alastair. I just noticed at the networking event you were a bit shit at explaining what you're looking for, and I thought you were a bit rude. You've got a face for radio. In fact, your face just doesn't fit.
Yeah. I really just don't like your face, mate.
Well, to improve it. So, but then if being serious, but then I could go, so like, I really enjoyed how you explained how you work with your clients. It might be better if you just tried this.
Yeah.
And then I thought about this, and here's some other tips. So if you tweak this and do that, and maybe ask for this, then you might tweak your results. Because usually my feedback to people is, people don't understand what it is that you do because you talk in jargon.
Yeah.
And I can't think of anyone to introduce you to. And that's why I always say to people, give me an example of your favorite client or your most recent client. And by doing that, there's a part of our brain called the reticular activating system. And it's the bit that when you're in a crowded room and you're in conversation and then someone says Alastair on the other side of the room, your little radar picks that up. And out of all the noise and hubbub, you hear that. That's the reticular activating system in our brain. It works. So it's like a referral radar. That's how I think of it. So the more specific, the more laser focused I can be on what I'm looking for, the more likely is that someone's going to remember that and hear it or see it after the event. So in the same way that you think about your car, when we buy a new car, we're like really looking forward to it. We're looking out for them everywhere. We don't really see very many. As soon as you buy one, they're everywhere.
They're everywhere, yeah.
Like, car.
It's the curse of buying a car, is that you then see you're looking in a mirror everywhere you go.
Yeah. And so we do that. And that's the reticular activating system. So the more specific you can be when you're networking with what you're asking for and what you're describing, the more likely that. And what we don't want is, so you might go networking. So right now we've just launched into Spain, literally this morning, Circle Network Spain. So all I'm asking for is, who do you know that lives in Spain? Okay. Who do you know that lives in Spain? And do you know what? I'm getting ones and twos. And that's fine for me, because if you say, oh, I don't know. Actually, I know Simon who lives in Spain. Right. It's not like 100 people. There's a bit of work involved in that. You're just going to go away and go, right, Jamie, let me introduce you to Simon. And then it's done.
So we all you don't know this, but I'm half Spanish. All my family live in Spain. I'm the 100.
Right. So that's a really good example then. So like you could introduce me to lots of people, but that's going to take some time, isn't it? So in your head, you'll probably think somewhere, I'll do that when I'm not busy.
Yeah.
Are you ever not busy?
Never.
So it means you never do it. Yeah. You never do it. If I say to you, right, who out of all the people that you know in Spain, who's the one that you like the most that runs their own business?
Definitely know who I'd refer.
And that's all. I just need one at a time. And then I'll do that one. And then I'll feed back to you. And then I'll say, who else do you know?
Right.
And that's so there's two things with that. One is, if you can get it down to one person, then it's easy for someone to do that after you've spoken to them.
Yeah.
And if they don't do it straight away, it's all right to go, so the other day when we were chatting, and I just want to give you a nudge, would it be all right if you could introduce me to that person?
Yeah, yeah.
I need to own that. Not you. It's not my responsibility. And then the other bit is, if you do make that introduction, then I feed back to you, whether it works or not. And if it's good, I'll say, that was amazing. What can I do to help you? By the way, I'd like some more like that. Or, I really appreciate that introduction. Wasn't quite the right fit because. Because otherwise, you're going to not know, and you might keep passing me more of those.
Yeah.
And then it's just going to get a bit awkward. So whether it's a good fit or a bad fit, I'm still going to thank you, because it's the activity that we're rewarding. I really appreciate you doing that for me. I would like more of that. This is what I want. So
I'm just going to break that down to recap, because there was a lot of amazing information in that explanation. So the first thing is you're saying, so your broad question, which is, who do you know who lives in Spain? Okay, I know 100 people. Who do you like the most that lives in Spain? Yeah, so who's your favorite person living in Spain is basically what you're asking, that you think might.
Everyone that lives in Spain now is waiting for you to say it's them.
Yeah. Who's Alice's favorite person? It's true. So who's your favorite person? Okay, great. And then so that's your step 2, isn't it? So if it's lots of people, whittle it down to one. In general, most people will only have one person anyway, right? So who's your favorite person is just a great way of fun. Am I saying the right things? It helps to funnel it down.
Yeah.
And then the feedback. I think something that I used to teach when I had a sales team is, if you understand the right psychology behind something, what you say comes automatic. So as long as your mindset is correct, everything else takes care of itself. You don't need to figure out scripting and all this kind of stuff. And what was coming to mind as you were saying that is, just have the right level of respect for the person who's giving you the referral. If you've got the right level of respect, it is the respectful action to give them feedback, yes or no. Right. Yeah. So I think that is I think it's really, really important from a technique perspective, definitely you need to give them feedback if it's a yes or no. And if it's yes, and you go, thank you so much, and they feel really good, they're probably going to then go, oh, I know somebody else, right? So just by being enthusiastic, again, which is a certain level of respect, is going, well, really, thank you, having genuine level of gratitude with that is then going to get a second referral really easily, fluently, organically, without having to force or think or anything. Because I've noticed this with managing people, but also how that managing people works with suppliers, with clients, with people in your team. It's all the same thing. If just treat people with the right level of respect, congratulate them when they've done well, be thankful when they've done something that is really good. Just be fucking decent, right? And I notice it really, really concretely with the bad client, right? Who wants everything for nothing, all the rest of it. And I'm like, well, if you were my manager right now, I'd probably quit. But you should be treating me as a supplier like you would treat everybody else. And actually, when I see them work with their team, actually, they're the same with everyone, right? It's nothing personal to me. But it's interesting because when you're doing referral, I think it's important to have that understanding that how you treat people is going to massively impact how many referrals you get, because how comfortable they feel. But great information. I think that's perfectly put.
Yeah. I think I'm done with all my golden nuggets now.
From now onwards, it'll just be boring. I've given everything I can give.
Well, actually, one thing then. So we've taken people through a process: how to go networking, what to say when you're there. Pick one thing and do that. Follow up with people. That's the biggest thing. I mean, like, I see a lot of people go networking and they don't do the follow up. When you get referred, so make it really easy for people to help you. I have this thing. I don't know if I showed you it last time. I've got a video tool that I use. I'm not sure.
No, I don't think so. No.
Okay, so I've got this thing called Lead Chest. That's the platform that a friend of mine, George, has got. It's brilliant. I think I pay about £30 a month for it, something like that. And you can have interactive videos. So I've recorded, you'll like this, a video series. So it's 3 1-minute videos. And it's on a link. So I can give you this link and you can WhatsApp it to somebody. I've recorded portrait videos. So because we were so used to watching all our video content
on your phone,
now. So you watch it. But what's interesting about it is that you can put buttons on the top of the video. So you make them a little bit interactive. Now, I just have one button on mine. So the first video that says, and the reason I've videoed this is it never gets watered down. So my message is always me saying it word for word rather than you repeating it and changing it. So it's, hi, I'm Jamie. Someone's passed you this link because they think that they want to help you. I'm Jamie. I'm from Circle Networks. This is what we do. Click the button below, and I'll say, click the button below to listen from someone in the network. I can't remember the exact words now, but then I've got a testimonial from somebody in our network. Elliot does a brilliant testimonial. Then at the button takes you to the last video, which says, not even selling anything. Let me offer you a free trial. So if you click the button below, it'll take you to our events page. Come along, take up my trial and see if you like it.
Nice.
So all I do, I say to people, can you just send this link and get 3 people to click on it? And I was teaching this, and I was teaching this in I run a training program, and there's a guy on it called Steph, and he's in Germany, and he went, oh my God, that's why I'm in Circle Networks, because Paul sent me that link, and I watched it, and I came along, and I visited, and here I am.
Right. Amazing.
So it's about like making it easy for other people to help us. So if I ask you the question, if I give you that link, could you get 2 or 3 people to watch it?
I would hope that at least 2 or 3 people that I know would watch it. Probably Spanish.
Right, you imagine. So we've just got to make it easy for people. Whereas if I said to you, could you introduce me to some people? The first thing that you're going to think is, what do I say? Like, I know them, but I don't know how to bring Jamie up in conversation. I don't know if they're looking for this thing.
Everyone fucks a second-hand pitch.
Yes.
Everybody
I'm going to use that phrase. Yeah. And in my time in networking, no one has ever come back to me and said, I had a brilliant referral for you to a dream client and I messed it up. No one ever admits to doing something wrong.
Yeah.
So you think about how many times we go networking, how many people might have tried and messed up referrals for us that we just don't know about.
Yeah. Yeah.
So to me, I wanted to create something that was easy for people to do.
I think that that's a really, really important golden nugget. When you thought you had run out, there you are, laying another golden egg. Because it's very, very true. I think that there's a couple of things there. One is make it really, really easy. But the other thing is, from a psychology perspective, is okay, well, they also then need to be really, really comfortable with the thing that they're going to send, right? Something that isn't really salesy, something that isn't, a pitch deck or all the reasons why you need to buy my service now. It has to be something that's very light touch. Here's some information, or here's a video that's basically just introducing himself. The video thing, I think, is a really clever idea. It's not something that I've heard of or something that I've seen from an ads perspective. People will have a video ad, and then you click on the link and you put your email address and you have another video. And then they go, oh, go ahead and check out our free course. And there's another video. So you have these kind of 3-step videos. It's quite a kind of typical funnel in meta ads, especially. But I've not heard of it in this format where you would give someone a link to then send as a referral. Here's a link to watch, and it's a video. I think that's a very clever and a great link. Maybe we'll put it in the description of the podcast. This tool that you use, because I think that probably is a really good thing.
So I use, hopefully the text message reminders that I got from you come back to you.
Yeah, they do, yeah.
I use keyboard shortcuts or text replacement in my phone. But because it's Apple, it works on all my devices.
Right.
So all I need to do is type in LC and click space, and it expands into the URL. So literally, while you were just talking, I've just texted you the link.
No way. Really? That's amazing. That's great. You've mastered making that really easy.
Without, I don't need to pause a breath. I don't need to go, oh, let me just find the link. Let me send it to you. Literally, I just type LC, expand. Now, I've got a few of those set up. I don't have one-to-ones with people. I have collaboration calls. So if I type in collab, it expands into my meeting booking link for collaboration calls. Like all the things that we type all the time, like your email address. You're always
got as shortcuts.
Yeah, I've got loads.
That's a great thing. It's not something I've done on my phone. I was just thinking of how does that look for the majority of people who maybe wouldn't be savvy enough to be able to. I mean, I'm not savvy enough, and I'm sales automation guy to create shortcuts on my phone. It's not something that I'm used to doing. Something that I have done in the before. I've got someone that I don't know even whose this is, but having a QR code. So QR code, and something that I've done when I've been to a trade show before is had a QR code on my phone as my screensaver.
Yeah.
And so then I can go, here's my card. And then it was a URL to a business card that was actually published on my website. So it was also my website address, but also contact information for everything. So there's different things you can do. And I know you can do it on LinkedIn as well. Because I went to a business meeting recently. They said, oh, let's exchange. And they tapped my phone with LinkedIn. I don't even know how they did it. And I was like, oh, it's done.
So if you're listening to this and you open up LinkedIn on your phone.
Yeah.
And just tap the search box, and you'll see in the top right there's a little 4-square icon in the search box.
Mm.
You click on that, and it'll come up with either the code that somebody else can just scan with their camera, or you can scan somebody else's.
Yeah. So it's actually mega easy.
Yeah. And the reason that I like that is people have digital business cards where you can basically create a VCF, doesn't it? And you can scan that and save someone to your phone. If I can't remember your name at the end of the day, how do I find you in my address book?
Yeah.
Whereas on LinkedIn, if you connect with people on LinkedIn, then you can go into My Connections and it shows you the most recent ones at the top.
Yes.
That helps.
Yes, that's a very, very good point. You're making me think of when I was 18 going clubbing. And I think I dated this girl, and I won't say her name. And I think I had her name followed by Bar 31, which was the club we met at. Because I knew the next drunken morning that I wasn't necessarily going to remember the name, but I was going to remember the club we're in.
Yeah. But it's hard.
But it's true, right? It's it's what do you associate the person to?
The other thing that I did, so I was having dinner with somebody. We ran an event out in Dubai in January. So then I was having dinner with a couple of people, and he said, oh, you should speak to so-and-so. He's really good. He could help you with this. And he'd built a network in India and grew it from 0 to 28,000 members. And I was like, why are you just telling me about this guy now?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I've known you for months. Why are you just telling me now?
Yeah.
So he said, and then I looked and I was already connected to this guy on LinkedIn. So I took a selfie of me and Rajiv next to each other. And then I sent a direct message to Niraj and just said, hi, I'm just with Rajiv. So that was the social proof. So I didn't even need him to make a referral. I just used the selfie to open the conversation.
Just when you think you've run out of golden nuggets, they just keep coming. That's a great idea. And I mean, you could even go one step further. You could post it on social media and at somebody. So it's a social media thing as well as, and then they go, oh, I saw I didn't know that, and it can just, even without having to send a direct message. Yes. Genius. Absolutely genius. I have learned such an enormous amount. I think it's been fascinating for me, someone who I consider myself a real novice at all these things, albeit a sales expert, a total novice when it comes to networking. And it's been absolutely fascinating. Honestly, it's been really because it's like an art form on its own, right? It's a skill.
For such a simple thing, just go networking. There's actually a lot more to it.
There's a lot to it. There's a lot to it.
And it's easy and it's good fun.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think any of these things can be really good fun when you know how to do it right. I think it can be absolutely soul destroying. And I'm sure people listening to go, oh, I've tried it and it didn't fucking work. Probably didn't do any of these things.
This is one of the things. There is networking is like posting on social media. People say post on social media to get clients. In reality, we all know there's a lot more to it than that. Just send emails is not going to get you clients. Yeah. So when people say just go networking, I'm like, or I've been networking before and it didn't work for me, I'm like, we've not been to our networking. And the best, and I had someone said this to me the other day, if I said to you, you can't describe a haircut until you've had a haircut. So I can't explain what it's like to have your haircut unless I've actually had it done. And it's the same with our networking. You've not experienced our way of networking until you actually come along.
You make me think of someone said to me once when I was a kid, they said, don't like apple crumble. And I was like, how can you not like apple crumble? Everyone likes apple crumble. That's ludicrous. Of course you like apple crumble. I said, no, I don't like apple crumble. Anyway, it just so happens one weekend at their house, their mum was making apple crumble. So happens. And it was the worst apple crumble I'd ever had. And of course, this person hated apple crumble because it was awful. I was like, this doesn't even constitute as apple crumble. This is apple sludge at best. It was awful. And I was like, I'm going to make you an apple crumble, and then you'll like apple crumble. And then they did, right? So, and I think that it's a great representation of that, right? It's oh, don't work. It doesn't work. Don't like it. Doesn't work. We haven't done it in the right way. You haven't been to the right one. You haven't had the right apple crumble yet. When you have the right apple crumble, you love apple crumble. Who doesn't like apple crumble?
Well, so everybody loves apple crumble. So we did this conference in Dubai in January. We did it on the QE2. So it's like a piece of Britain. It's permanently moored out in Dubai. And it was like a pull for people. Oh, I've never been to the QE2. So people came along. And at lunch, they've got a buffet. They did this amazing buffet lunch that's open to everybody on the ship if you want to go there. But they had apple crumble. So everybody, as soon as the word went down, like, there's apple crumble, there's apple crumble, there's apple crumble. And I was in the middle of the conversation and Lou was there, my other half. And she came over and I went, could you just get me a bit of apple crumble?
That's amazing.
Everybody loves apple crumble.
And then the debate is with cream, with ice cream, with custard.
Ice cream.
I like it hot with ice cream. That's my favorite way of having it as well. Hot with ice cream, yeah. But that will be a debate you can have with other apple crumble fans going, with custard?
Everybody else in my house wants custard. I'm the only one that has it with ice cream.
Ice cream. I prefer mine with ice cream. Hot with ice cream is amazing. Brilliant. So I'm going to ask you to do it actually. So if we've got a listener who can't be asked to listen to the 1 hour and 26 minutes and 42 seconds, and they're like, just give me the takeaways. Sum up for me this hour of gold into a short summary. What would be those key takeaways?
Okay. Get good at describing what a good client looks like for you. And get very specific with it. So describe your ideal client. Avoid the A word. So anyone is not your ideal client. And that's why I say to people, tell me about your best client or your most recent client? So give a specific example. So let me tell you about, da, 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 and then tell them what you did for them and the problem that you fixed and how happy they were. That's your ideal client. Then get clear on what your offer is. And most people are really, well, it depends. So get clear on your offer. And then when you go networking for one thing. So you want to be around some people who can introduce you to. So you're not going to be in a room full of prospects or a room full of leads. You want to be in a room where there's people that you like, that you think could be friends, and that you're comfortable introducing them, and that they know your ideal kind of client.
Mm.
They might not know lots of them, but if there's 10, 20 people in that room, that event, and they all introduce you to one, well, that's 20 leads. And if they do the same thing next month, then that's great. So go networking for one thing. Go networking for an introduction to a potential client, a referral partner, or a supplier. And it depends on where you're at with your business. But treat networking as a long-term strategy. You'll get quick results, but don't go networking for today, which is what I need a client. Oh my God, I need a client today. I posted on social media yesterday and I didn't get one, so I'm going to try networking today. And then tomorrow I'm going to do email marketing. It doesn't work like that. So part of your strategy. And I'm not the person that says this is the only thing that you need. It's part of your marketing mix.
Yeah.
But it doesn't cost you a penny. Now, there might be going networking, there might be a nominal fee, 15, 20 quid. A membership with us is £60 a month, but for that you get 90 events that you can come to a month. So, but just have a clear plan of action, and help others first.
Normally, I'd be really good. Thank you for that. That was really well put. Normally, I'd be really good at kind of summarizing all the gold. There's been too much to summarize. There's so many points. So if you have been the person who skips to the end of the last chapter of the book, and you're like, I just want to, you're going to have to listen to this one, I'm afraid, because there is so much gold. I mean, that was a good summary, but there's a lot more that sits behind it, and there's intricate. And I think my takeaway is that this is an art form. This really is an art form, and I think, as you say, it's part of your marketing mix. It's something that me and other agency owners will talk about. Is there isn't a marketing strategy that doesn't work. Like, ads works, email works, networking works. It all works. You just got to choose the right thing for you. Yes. Right? Because it will resonate with you if it's the right thing for you, and it won't if it's not the right thing. But it will never resonate with you if you go and do it and you do it wrong.
Yeah. The apple crumble example.
So I think all the things that you've gone through on this call are just, something I said about something my dad cooked some brilliant spaghetti bolognese, and I replicated his recipe, right, and it was nowhere near as good, and I could taste that the ingredient that was missing was his wisdom, and as you're talking, I can hear from you with such detail just the level of experience you truly have. It is mind-blowing level of experience. So it's your art form, right? This is your art, that is really, really demonstrated on this call, I think, really well. Where was I leading with that? I was leading with something with that. Too many golden nuggets. There's too many golden nuggets. You would have to listen to the whole thing, and that's it. So it's an art form. So this is something where you can do it wrong. You can go to a networking event and you can do it really shit, because you go and you just pitch and nothing happens because no one's there to buy, everyone's there to sell. All right. Or you can go there, make really good relationships with people, really understand what people are looking for, and also help to support them, whilst also understanding what are the challenges that you solve for people, what your ideal client looks like, and help them to help you in a much more detailed way. So I think you've just articulated beautifully how to do it well. So thank you so much, because I think anyone listening to this who is interested in networking will learn an enormous amount. I think it's just absolute golden information. So thank you so much for educating me and anyone else listening to this. I know my friend who asked me about this last week, I'll be sending them the link to this straight away, because I'll be like, you need to listen to everything that you need is in this hour and a half.
Good. Well, as long as it makes a difference to one person, then job done.
Yeah. Well, already it has done. So thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. It's been so much fun as well. It's so much fun to have the discussion. And I think we're within time, right? Because you're like, yes. Oh, I've got to go at 1:45, and we're in that time. So thank you so much again.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Have a good. What did you say you're doing? You're going to.
So I'm presenting. So the event started at 1, and I was like, "Oh, I'm really sorry, I've got another event." So I said, "I'll be there before 2, and it finishes at 1:30, and it's my event as well."
Oh, I feel really privileged now that I've stolen so much time from you when you're running an event that you're not at your own event. It'd be like me joining this podcast and go, actually, I can't join.
You do the first hour on your own, Jamie, and then I'll catch up. That's what's happened.
All right, mate. I'm gonna stop it there. Good to meet you.